What if I told you that the secret to staying front of mind and booking more clients and building deeper connections isn't another social media platform? It's actually something as old school as email. We live in a world where TikTok bans are looming. Instagram's algorithm is constantly changing. And I don't know about you, but my reach is tanking. So newsletters are making a massive comeback. Today, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how I'm using newsletters as a fashion photographer in 2025 so that I can take control of my marketing, grow my audience, and book more clients. So let's start with talking about why newsletters, especially now in 2025. If you're anything like me, social media feels extremely overwhelming right now. I took a social media break over Christmas and I spent 2 weeks without scrolling, without posting, without seeing what everyone else was doing, and it was wonderful. TikTok feels like it's on very thin ice in the US, and I feel like Instagram is changing its mind about its features and its algorithm every single week. Honestly, my posts are just not reaching as many people, and that's where newsletters are coming in for me. They allow me to step away from social media and rely on it so much less, and I get to take control back of my marketing. With a newsletter, I am no longer at the mercy of an algorithm. When I send an email, I can almost guarantee that it's going to land directly in their inbox. And the chances are they're actually going to want to read it and see it. It's direct and it actually really works. And for me, newsletters are about so much more than just visibility. They're about building a deeper, more intimate connection with the people who like my work and want to see what I'm doing. When someone opens an email from me, it's like we're having a one-on-one conversation. You're not competing against everyone else's flashy reels or the millions of other posts on people's feeds. It's just you and them and you having a conversation with them. That's kind of how it feels. It's incredibly powerful for relationship building. Plus, I can control the cadence, whether I want to send one email a week or one every month or one every few months. It's totally up to me. There's no pressure on having to jump on Reels trends or create constantly. I create content that fits into my lifestyle and my day-to-day, and it makes a huge difference to how my marketing feels. And if we're being honest, social media could literally disappear tomorrow. We've seen what's happened in the US with the looming potential TikTok ban. Algorithms also have so much control over how many people see our images, and we've seen plenty of times platforms just disappear. But when you have an email list, it is yours. You own that data. No one can take that away from you. As a fashion photographer, my audience and my connections, my relationships are everything, especially when my work is all about telling stories and bringing people on a visual journey. It's about connection. Newsletters just feel like the perfect fit. They allow me to share updates, I can showcase the latest projects I've been working on, and I can even give them behind the scenes of what I've been doing in the background that they may not have otherwise seen. And yes, you can do that on Instagram, but you just don't get that same amount of intimacy that you do with a newsletter. So newsletters aren't just about sending an email. They're about owning the data you have and being able to directly communicate with your audience. It's about creating connections and then having a really solid foundation to your business. Social media is like a roller coaster. Emails are like a safety net. So how do we get people to opt into our newsletters? Like, how do we do that? So I'm really intentional about how I'm growing my email list. Previously, I have used mass email databases where basically you pay a very high fee and you get access to a database of email addresses that you can use to send newsletters and you can email people directly. And for a time, that worked. I saw a little bit of success, but honestly, it never worked quite well enough for me to warrant the investment. And never say never. Like, I might invest in one of those things again in the future if I want to, but I really wanted to spend 2025 building my own list of people who want to hear directly from me. So I'm focusing on building intimate connections instead of just blasting as many people as I can, as frequently as I can. I want the people on my list to actually want to hear from me. So that means that I've been focusing on two main strategies for getting people to opt in, and I'm going to share them with you today. The first one is so simple, and we can all do this. I'm literally inviting people I've previously had connections with and spoken to and inviting them to my email list. I'm literally inviting previous clients. It's as straightforward as it sounds. I am just sending everyone an email one-on-one individually saying, hi, XYZ name. I hope you're doing really well. I wanted to let you know that I'm starting an email list and I'm going to be sending out regular newsletters. And I wondered if you would like to receive these emails. I'm going to be sharing updates on my work, behind the scenes, inspirational posts, and a little bit of a look at my day-to-day life and things like that. And then I'm actually including a link to the opt-in. It's very simple. It's just they fill in their name and their email address, done. I'm also saying if you'd prefer me to just add you to the list rather than you having to fill out the form, no problem. Let me know, hit reply and say, yep, add me to the list, and I'm popping them on. If I do not get a reply from them, I am not adding them to the list. I'm not just taking no answer as a acceptance. The reason I like this technique is it's very personal, it's very direct, it's very easy, and most of these people are genuinely excited to be included because they like me already. They know who I am, they want to hear from me. I've already built a relationship with them, so it feels just natural to bring them along on the journey. The second thing I have done is I've created a free opt-in incentive. This isn't just any old freebie. I've been very strategic about what I've created. I've made something that's both valuable to my audience and also very, very much highlights my skills and what I bring to the table as a photographer and an artist. I'm heavily using AI in my work at the moment, so I have created a free guide about creative ways that brands can use AI to enhance their campaigns and build up their brand. But I have very strategically highlighted how I am doing that and how I can do that for them. It's educational, but it also gives people a taste of what I can do and gets them on my radar. The reason this works is that when someone downloads your freebie, they are automatically opting in and saying yes to receiving your emails. They are giving you consent to you emailing them. It's so much easier to do this than to try and always be grasping at straws and competing with everybody else on social media to get their attention. The likelihood of all of my clients, all of my people that I want to work with and stay in touch with, seeing my Instagram posts is so slim. It is so slim, it's ridiculous. The truth is people also just scroll past these in seconds, and often they look at it, they like it, then they forget about it. So I am very intentional about this, and I'm also realistic. I am not expecting to build a huge list of people overnight. For me, it's about building the right list. I want it to be 100 people who are incredibly interested in what I do, interested in hiring me, and interested in what I have to say and my work. I would much rather have a small list of people who love what I do than a huge list of people who just aren't that interested. Another thing I've learned is that you do have to be patient. Email lists take time. I've built an entirely different email list for my education business, which is probably why you're here. And that's taken me years. So I'm not expecting this one to happen overnight. And nor should you. So now that you know why I'm sending newsletters and how I'm getting people to opt in, what am I actually sending them? And how often? When I first started sending newsletters, I was very conscious that I didn't want to make something overly pushy and overly salesy. It had to be something that felt very natural and very organic and cozy and inviting and interesting. I want it to feel like a casual check-in, but equally still promoting my work and still wanting them to hire me. It's about finding a good balance. So the way I'm approaching my newsletters is very similar to how I would approach a blog post. I'm sending a mix of personal updates, behind the scenes, looking at my new work, talking about my process, talking about what's inspiring me, things like that. However, we do run businesses, so we do need to be conscious that we are still selling, right? There is nothing wrong with selling and inviting people to work with us. So at the bottom of every single email, I am definitely making sure to add a call to action or a CTA. And it doesn't necessarily need to be book me for a shoot. That is not necessarily what I'm talking about when I say a CTA. A CTA, a call to action, could be click this link to look at my portfolio, click this link to, maybe it's download this resource I've made, or reply to this email and tell me what you think. That can be a call to action. It's just about creating engagement, not necessarily book me, book me, book me. Sometimes it will be book me, but most of the time it won't be. The key here is that every single email I send has to serve a purpose. I'm not just sending random emails with no soul to them and no intention behind them. I want every single email I send to inspire, to educate, and to engage the people reading my emails in some way. So how often am I sending emails? For me, cadence is important, and it's important to create consistency so that my subscribers know when I'm going to be emailing them. I've set myself a goal to send at least one email per week. I know that consistency is where I build trust. So I want to show up regularly without overwhelming my audience. And I know that a lot of you listening to this and watching this will be worried about emailing people too often. But I want to reassure you that people genuinely look forward to receiving emails when they opt in. And you have to include an unsubscribe button at the bottom of every single email you send. So if someone doesn't want to receive your emails anymore, it's okay. They can unsubscribe. No problem. They will come back to you when their time is right and when they're interested in again. It's not necessarily about frequency. It's about quality. If you are sending a lot of emails, but they're really good emails, they're really interesting emails, people love receiving them. And of course, let's be real. Sometimes life gets in the way. Maybe you have a really busy shoot week and you don't have the time to set up your newsletter like you were before. That's okay. Skip a week, come back to the next week and carry on. I promise you, people are not going to notice. People are not paying attention to you as much as you think they are. Ultimately, I want my emails to feel like a little gift in someone's inbox, something they look forward to receiving. The way that I look forward to reading the newsletters of people that I follow and that I enjoy. One of my favorite photographers and people to follow is Jamie Beth. I will leave a link below. She has a newsletter that goes out every week. She's very much who inspired me to really do this properly and to commit to sending newsletters every single week to my audience of people interested in my photography. So what platform should you use to send your emails? And what do I use? Because obviously, where you choose to host your emails and to send them from makes a big difference. I personally need somewhere that is going to allow me the ability to curate my email to make them look good, and to allow me the flexibility with my branding, but also be easy to use. I am pretty tech savvy, but doesn't mean I like spending time faffing around with tech. I want something that's quick and easy to use. And this is where my favorite software comes in. It's called Flodesk. You've probably heard me talk about it before, but if you haven't, love to introduce you to it. It is fantastic. And I'm going to tell you why I love it so much. It's so easy to use and the designs are stunning. They have templates you can use, which make it really easy if you want to, and they are fully customizable, so you're never stuck to a template's layout. You can alter it, you can change it. Love it. They make emails look really polished and really professional, which is very important when you're sending emails out to people who are trying to get to hire you. It doesn't take hours to do this. I honestly can set up emails and make them look really good in minutes. Another thing that I love about Flodesk, and this is actually what got me signing up to them in the first place, and I've been using Flodesk for 4 or 5 years, a really long time, is that they have fixed pricing. A lot of other newsletter subscribing softwares do not have this. They have a sliding scale. So you might start off paying very little, but as your email list grows, and it doesn't have to be that many, you start paying more per subscriber. Per subscriber. So it can get out of control very quickly. And I had this happen to myself where I was spending a lot of money on an email service provider. I wasn't really getting enough from it. Flodesk is also incredibly intuitive. If you're not tech savvy, it doesn't take a lot to use this. It is so easy to use. You don't have to be a tech wizard to figure it out. promise you can just do it. I can even set up automations and workflows so that everything happens in the back end for me without me having to do anything so easily. I really promise you it's changed my life. So for example, when someone signs up to my freebie, it automatically sends it to them instantly in a beautifully designed, very pretty email. But then there's also a workflow that goes on behind the scenes, which means they continue to get emails from me once a day for a few days. So if they don't know who I am, they are introduced to me slowly and with beautiful emails. It all happens automatically and is incredibly easy. If I can do it, I promise you, you can do it too. I love that I can also see how many people are opening my emails, how many people are clicking links. I can see which links have been clicked. So it makes it easy to then tailor what I'm sending in future, to know what people are most interested in, to see what subject lines have worked. All that analytics and data is incredibly valuable. Also, the best bit is I'm actually a Flodesk partner. I've partnered up with Flodesk personally, which means I can offer you 50% off for the first year. If you use my link, you'll get a whole discount on this incredible software. It is a huge saving. What's already a very affordable software becomes even more affordable, and you get so much value from it. Like, considering how much work I get just by using Flodesk, it's a no-brainer for me. You'll find the link to sign up to Flodesk yourself for 50% off the first year in the show notes or the description below. I do need to be transparent, of course. If you do sign up using my link, I do get a commission from that. So that's just me being totally honest with you. I will get a little bit of kickback if you use that link. Of course, I would never recommend anything I don't love or use myself. And I honestly have been using Flodesk for so many years. I can 150% vouch for it. It is fantastic. Of course, if you'd rather not pay for something, there are plenty of free ways you can do something similar without having to pay for a full software. Substack is a great example of this. You can absolutely use that. I have a Substack that I'm starting to use as well, but I really like that I can really curate Flodesk and I can really make it look personalized. I can guarantee I'm getting people straight to their inbox. There's so many benefits to using Flodesk. So I'm sticking with it, and I really recommend you check it out as well. So now that you know that newsletters are incredibly important, how do you stay consistent with sending them? And how do you make something that people actually want to open? I totally understand that if you're telling yourself, okay, I send one email a week, and you feel a bit overwhelmed by having to stick to that consistently, that can feel a lot. I get it. Especially when you're juggling photo shoots and editing and life and all the other business admin that we have to deal with as photographers. But consistency doesn't need to mean you're absolutely perfect. It needs to be striving to be as consistent as possible, not ticking every single box and then kicking yourself if you don't hit it every single time. I definitely don't every single time. So set yourself a realistic goal. For me, sending one email a week is plausible. I write quickly. I've been writing like this for a very long time, so I know that I can do it relatively fast. However, if that feels too much to you, maybe it's once a month you send an email out, and that is okay. And then you work your way up to sending more. Whatever it may be, just decide on a goal and try to stick to it as best as you can. The thing that's great about consistency is people come to expect your emails, and then they like receiving them, and they are more likely to engage with them as frequently as you want them to. The other way that I stay consistent is I batch everything. I do not send emails in real time. I am doing them in advance up front. You can schedule emails in Flodesk. You can schedule emails in any email provider, which means that you could do them on a day where you have time off, schedule them all in one go, get them going, and then you're done for the month. You can sit back and relax and know that you've done the hard work and you're creating that connection with the people that matter. So even when I'm on a shoot or when I'm on set, emails are going out automatically without me having to do anything. It's great. If you're not sure what to write about, here's a few little things to get you going. Just share the behind the scenes of the shoots you're doing. Talk about what you shot that week. Talk about the things you've learned. Maybe you had an exciting thing happen on set. Maybe something funny happened on set that you can write a story about. Was it a lesson you learned on set that day? Talk about that. You can also really talk about what is inspiring you, what your work is about, where your style comes from, what influences you as a photographer and as an artist. You can also talk about past work, like what was that project inspired about? Just because you shot something 3 years ago doesn't mean you can't still talk about it. It's just as relevant today if it still fits in what you're doing and you want to be known for, to talk about it now. Work doesn't have to be forgotten. Just because you posted it on Instagram 3 months ago and now it's an old post doesn't mean that that work is no longer relevant. So go back through your archives and tell stories about the work that you shot many years ago. And maybe you look at it in a new perspective. How could you have done things differently? What do you love about it still? Things like that. I also create a list of content ideas in a Notion dashboard that I can refer to anytime I need to. And that makes my life so much easier whenever I'm having a blank moment in my mind. I just go to that, look at it, and I'm like, oh, cool, I want to talk about that topic today. I'm going to write about that. It's really important that the best email newsletters feel like a conversation. They don't feel like a monologue or like you're just talking at people. That's really important. So this is where asking questions can be really useful. You can prompt people like, what do you think about this? Or hit reply and tell me what happened to you that day, or where you were on that day, or what does this make you think of? Try and think of ways that you can get people to want to reply to you, because that is how you get conversations going back and forth, and it's how you build a deeper connection. Like I mentioned earlier, every single email you send should have a strong purpose. Whether it's that you want people to visit your website and your portfolio, or you want them to download something, or you want them to reply to you, make it clear to them what you want them to do. Give them clear instructions. Use words like, click this button here to see my website. Please hit reply and tell me what you think. Make it as obvious as possible so people know what you want them to do. You think they know what you want them to do, but they don't. So tell them. And another thing, just be open to experimenting. Like, if you have an idea for something, try it. If it doesn't hit, doesn't land, it's okay. No one's going to remember it in 3 weeks' time. So just try things and let this be me giving you permission to experiment, to try stuff out. You never know what might hit, what might land, and what you might enjoy doing and what your audience might enjoy as well. You can really clearly see what people are engaging with and what people are liking by looking at the analytics in the back end of your email subscribing software. That's why, again, we love Flodesk. All the clear analytics. Data is everything. Okay, so let's bring it all together. We've covered a lot today. Why newsletters are so important in 2025, how I'm personally building my email list, what I'm sharing with my audience, and even the tools that I'm using to make it happen. There's one thing that I want you to take away from this episode is that newsletters are more than just emails. They're a chance for you to connect with your audience on a very deep level and to build connection, and more importantly, to get more bookings. If you've been holding off on starting a newsletter, let this be your sign to dive in now. You don't need a huge list to make an impact. Even if you have 5 people, that can be an incredible place to start. Your list will grow with time, and embrace that. Enjoy the journey as much as the destination. That was really cheesy. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're learning as you go, and you're growing. That is what is important. So here's what I recommend to do to get started. Number 1, choose a platform, whether it's Flodesk, Substack, something else, whatever it is, just choose something, get going and get started. Second, create your opt-in incentive, create something that is educational and helpful and juicy and makes people want to download it, but also promotes you and your work. And then third, invite the people you already have connections with to subscribe to your list. Send personalized emails inviting them to join you. And then just start sending emails. Don't overthink it. Just write that first email, schedule it, forget about it. Let it go out when you're doing something else and you're not like panicking about people seeing your email. Just let it go and then do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really hope this episode has been incredibly helpful and it's inspired you to take control of your newsletters this year. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below or reach out to me on Instagram. It's at Olivia Bossett Education. And I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's going to be loads more videos like this all the time. And I'm always looking for your tips and your ideas on future episodes that you'd like me to bring. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, share it with a friend if you know anyone who would really benefit from this. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.